Hello, and welcome to the Living My Human Design podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Hoover, and I'm so excited that you're here. I have been on a self-healing journey since my early 20s, and when I discovered human design in January of 2021, I felt like I had finally found what I had spent the last 20 years searching for. I believe that if we live as our authentic selves, having forgiveness, compassion, love, and understanding in our hearts, that ripples out and positively impacts everyone we interact with. That is how we have the biggest positive impact on the world. My purpose is to be a beacon of light in the world, attracting those who have broken down, fallen apart, and are stuck under the weight of life, and help them rise up as their true authentic selves. By sharing my human design experiment through this podcast, I hope to encourage others to begin their own healing journey by experimenting with their own human design. Continue listening and join me on this life-changing experiment of self-discovery. Hello, Happy New Year. I am still a little shocked that we're already in 2024. It felt like the beginning of last year was just creeping by, and then all of a sudden the last half of the year was just flew, and here we are in 2024. I love New Year's and setting intentions. I don't so much set resolutions these days, but I do like to set an intention for the year, because where attention goes, energy flows, and the best way to make an improvement or to reach goals is to just have an intention and an awareness of, or hold in your awareness who you want to be. And in 2024, I want to be consistent. I want to take imperfect action in the direction of my dreams and to take care of myself, to feed myself nutritious foods, to move my body in a way that feels good, and have fun. I really want to incorporate more fun and play into my life, because at some point in time, as adults, we feel like we have to get rid of that play. And I don't know, that's just silly. Why? We don't have to grow up. I'm never going to grow up. I may be a little more mature, but I am very goofy and very strange, and maybe eventually that will come out here in the podcast, so stay tuned. And the perfectionist in me, the old Nicole, would want to stop right now and re-record because I've said some silly stuff, but I am taking imperfect action, and I'm going to continue on no matter how many mistakes I make in this podcast. So buckle up. It's going to be an interesting ride. Something else that I'm really focusing on for 2024 is also to pause. And as a manifesting generator with loads of energy, I'm a fast-moving being, especially when I'm lit up and I'm excited about something. It's part of the reason why I talk really fast, and thank goodness that podcasts have the ability to speed up and slow down the speech, because I know I talk too fast. That's just who I am. But the pause that I'm focusing on this year is really a pause before I react, which is kind of tied into my authority, which is emotional authority. And with emotional authority, it's all about slowing down your decision-making process and to really feel what the decision feels like in my body, in all parts of my emotional wave. But I digress. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. So in the previous podcast episodes, I was talking about type and strategy and how important it is to follow our type and our strategy, specifically the strategy, which for manifestors is to inform, for generators, it's to respond, for manifesting generators, it's to respond and then inform. Projectors need to wait for an invitation, and reflectors need to slow down and wait for 28 days or a lunar cycle to make decisions. And the other side of that coin is authority. So there's two things in human design that if you follow and learn just these two things, you will start living a more aligned life, a life of more flow and ease, just by teaching people how to treat you, setting up healthy boundaries, and following your body's wisdom in making decisions. And I've also talked about authority in previous podcasts. So if you want to learn about each of the individual authorities, then check out episode 9, where I kind of go over all of that information. And if you haven't pulled your human design chart yet, I strongly recommend you go to my website, which is livingmyhumandesign.com. And there's a spot there that says Get Chart, and you can pull your human design chart for free and then follow along in this authority experiment with me. Once you pull your chart, you'll learn what your authority is. Go back and listen to episode 9 of the podcast to learn a little bit more, and then join me in the month of January as we experiment with our authorities. So part of what I'm really focusing on with my authority for January is connecting with how it feels in my body. I've been in my human design experiment for almost 3 years. And in the first couple of years, I was really excited and passionate and diving into all of the knowledge and learning. I wanted to learn everything I could as quickly as I could. But I wasn't really taking the time to experience my human design, to really pay attention to how it feels in my body and how it operates in my life on a regular basis. I have been using my authority to make bigger decisions, like when Ryan and I decided to sell our house and buy a fifth wheel and live full-time in our fifth wheel and travel around the U.S. We really took our time in making that decision because we're both emotional authority. And there was just like a calmness, a peace about the decision. Like we just knew that it was the right decision for us. Once the decision was made, everything moved really fast. We sold our house within 3 months. We did live in an apartment for a year while our youngest son finished high school and college. And then we moved to Montana, and within a month of moving to Montana, we had our truck and our RV, and we were getting ready to live our dream. So I know what it feels like in following my authority for those big decisions. But I've noticed that where I'm not following my authority is in the smaller decisions, in the little day-to-day decisions in dealing with people and my day job. And what I mean by this is I work as a freight broker for my day job. And so I deal a lot with customers and with trucking companies, and things don't always go according to plan. And when something goes wrong, my immediate response is just to react and, go into damage control mode or, start sorting things out. And sometimes I don't always make the best choices when I'm doing that. Like I may get upset with a carrier and, be really bullish with them, which is the shadow side of one of my gates. But I don't handle the situation as well as I know that I should and that I could. And if I would just stop and pause, and even if that's just taking 30 seconds to take a few deep breaths and check in with my body and to just calm down and let that initial wave of emotion pass, then I'm able to make better decisions in how to handle the situation. So that's part of where the word pause for 2024 comes into play. And so I'm really taking time over the next week to just feel into my body. When I wake up in the morning, I'm doing my like 10 or 15 minutes of yoga, and then I'll do my breath work and some meditation. And after my meditation, before I open my eyes and do my journaling, I'm taking a few minutes to really check in with my body and do a scan from the top of my head down to the tips of my toes and just feel what's going on with my body. Not really assigning any words or meaning to the sensations, just taking notice of how I'm feeling. Like this morning, as I was doing my body scan, I noticed that I had a little bit of pain and pressure above my eyebrows. And as I continued down, I had a little bit of pressure in my sinuses. And then I noticed that in my back, on my left side, middle of my back, I had a little bit of tightness there. And then as I scanned down into my hands, I had mildly burned myself cooking my sweet potato casserole for Christmas, and it's been healing, but I noticed that area was kind of itchy. And so I'm just really checking in with my body and feeling those subtle sensations, because the more that I become aware of this, the more I will notice it in the heat of the moment when I'm making decisions. I can feel what's going on in my body. In addition to these body scans, I'm also noticing, like when I'm taking a shower, the feeling of the water on my body. And I actually like to imagine it washing away whatever's been going on in the day, especially if it's been a more challenging day. But just really feeling the water rushing over my body. And when we go and walk the dogs, I pay attention to how the air feels on my skin and the wind blowing in my hair and the feeling of my feet on the pavement. Just really checking in and feeling into my body. And the thing is that with authority, especially if you're new to human design, once you start digging into this, you may realize that you're already kind of following it. It's innate in us. It's natural. We just, as Emma likes to say, we've just turned the volume down on it. So we're overriding our authority with our mind and discounting what we're feeling in our body because we've been conditioned to make the decisions with our mind. And our authority is always guiding us to make correct decisions that will fulfill our soul's purpose and lead us to our heart's desires. So for me, it's really important for me to really connect with this decision-making process. Because with emotional authority, we never are 100% certain in any decision that we make. We get about 80% clarity. And I know now that when I make a good decision, that there's just this calmness and there's peace in the decision. Like my heart is open. There's no constriction in my gut, in my tummy, and it just feels right, like it was just meant to be. And when I first learned about authority, what I really resisted about emotional authority is this taking time piece, slowing down to make decisions, telling people, you know what, let me think about that and I'll get back with you tomorrow. I loved making spontaneous decisions in the moment. They were always emotionally charged. Like I recognize that a lot of my decisions, all of my decisions really, that I've made throughout my life were emotional. They were tied to how I was feeling in the moment when I made the decision. And it's really interesting, squirrel here. As I learned about human design and authority, I knew that decisions would feel right, but I couldn't language why I thought that they were correct decisions or why I wanted to go down this specific path. So that's kind of interesting. So as you learn about your specific authority after you listen to episode 9 of the podcast, kind of pay attention to what triggers you about the information you learned, or what are you resisting about the information that you've learned with your authority. And then maybe look back on some decisions that you've made that went well, and what were you doing, or what happened right before you made that decision, or what were the steps leading up to that decision. And then also look at maybe some decisions that you made that didn't quite go so well, and what led up to those decisions. And this just kind of helps you to identify where in your life you had maybe followed your authority without realizing it. And then it helps you to get an idea of what that felt like in your body. And for the next week, I want you to really pay attention to just connecting with your body. How does it feel in the mornings when you're by yourself and no one is around, as you just kind of scan through your body and just pay attention to how it feels? Don't assign it any meaning or dwell in any one spot. Just feel. Just pay attention to how it feels. And as often as you can, maybe 3 times a day, or when you're out and about taking a walk, just feel the temperature of the air on your skin, the breath going into your body. Just really connect with the body. That's the goal for the next week, so that you get used to paying attention to how it feels. And another great way is to move your body. Like, another way to connect in is to move your body in a way that feels good, whether that's dancing around the house while you have headphones in, or going for a jog, or I don't know, doing some yoga, playing with your kids. Just moving the body will also help connect in with it, to ground it, and to get connected. So pay attention to that. And then I will be updating on Instagram how I've been connecting with the sensations in my body, and how I'm connecting to feeling. And then in the next episode, we'll talk about how to start paying attention to the decisions that we're making that don't really matter, like everyday, small, minor decisions, just to kind of get a feel for what that is like. And then we'll just keep progressing throughout the month until we move on to our next topic. So please connect with me on Instagram. I'm at Living My Human Design. All that information will be available in the show notes. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to this episode, and I will check in with you again next week. Thank you for listening all the way to the end of the podcast. If you like what you've heard here today, please take a moment to leave a review. Don't forget to subscribe so that you're notified when the next episode is released. If you have any questions, please connect with me on social media. The links are down below in the show notes. Don't forget, you can get your free human design chart at my website, livingmyhumandesign.com. And if you'd like to have me unpack your chart with you, you can also schedule an unpack at my website, and there are 3 options to choose from. That website address again is livingmyhumandesign.com. If you'd like to learn more about human design at your own pace, I highly recommend joining Emma Dunwoody's HDX membership. There are video modules on all parts of human design and tons of bonus materials. This membership also comes with a private Facebook community where you can ask questions and get additional support. I'm one of the guides in this community as well. The links to all of this information are down below in the show notes. Thank you again for listening. I'm sending you lots of love and light, and I'll talk with you soon.